Hi everyone, do you hear me and see me?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Hey
Hi.
there, nice to see you guys. So Nicoletta is there, and we have Brian, we
Yes.
have Medine, Julian, and Hafiz. And we just lost his video, but he's somewhere out there. Kubra also joined. Nice to see you there. Okay, great. How are you? How are things going on?
Thank you. How are you, Philip?
Very good to see you all together here.
I
But
have thought a lot. Sorry.
you will not be able to turn on the video, no problem. First of all, wishing you all the best for this holiday season. I hope you have a wonderful time and a nice association. And yes, I'm happy to be in your association here also. So we will start. Others will be joining little by little. And yeah, so we are going to continue today to speak about our true nature. So this is the topic for today. And as we just came to the point of spirit part, the thing is just to ask you, one more thing, why did we say that the spiritual part is important? What was the point of the spiritual aspect of our life? Why is it important? If we are having satisfied all our physical needs, we are healthy, good looking, and have all of these material resources, psychologically we are uh, having a peaceful mind, emotionally we have a person who we love, who loves us, we have respect, we have position, we have all of these things. Why would we need that spiritual aspect of life? We mentioned that last time a little bit.
Because this is who we are. We are spirits, and we have a body and a mind.
That's great. Thank you very much, Nico. But why would that be important? How would that play a role in our life if we have all of these other aspects satisfied? Even if, like we can say we are that part, but how would it change the situation?
It will complete us. We will feel more part of everything, I think.
Okay. Thank you, Martha. And by the way, I just remembered that I didn't introduce the Seeking the Essence program for those of you who are new. Why I'm asking so much questions is because I want that this is also discussion, that we steer a little bit of discussion on these important topics that we are speaking about. So I'm going to ask you questions, so please don't hesitate to just turn your mic and just share something on that. On some moments, I will also be sharing some of realizations on the topic itself. And this time we didn't introduce each other. I just jumped immediately reflecting on the last topic, but we will do that later. You wanted, Marta, something more to add to that?
No, not for now.
Great. Something else, like coming back now to the spiritual part, why is it important if we have satisfied the physical, psychological needs? Why would we need that spiritual aspect in our life? Why to complicate life? This is maybe for some just, sentimental people who are maybe a little bit out of time.
To remind us that we are not this body, and also to help us distance ourselves from the things that happen to us on the daily basis and tend to disrupt us from the bigger plan.
Really great, Bruna. Thank you so much for mentioning this. So you just mentioned that to remind us that we are not this body and to distance ourselves from this, that we are like imagining ourselves to be body and connecting to all of these things. And you added that that would not affect, that was the main point.
What I added is that by distancing ourselves from our body, we also distance ourselves from the problems that happen to this body. Great. Which means like everything that happened to us on a daily basis.
Great. That was the point. because life in general is like a roller coaster. It goes up and it goes down. We have some nice moments. We are on the top of the world in one moment, and on the next moment, somebody dies who's very close. We lose some money or company, or we lose some of loved persons. It's like that. This is life. This is how things are going around. So if we are very much attached to that identification that we are this body, that we are all of these relationships, that we are not consciousness or spirit soul, as we mentioned it, it would affect us tremendously. But we are connecting ourselves with driving a car. If we are driving a car and we are very attached to that car, whatever happens to that car, even if somebody scratches or somebody hits us, we are going to go the whole roller coasters of emotions. But if we know that we are using that car to reach a destination, and even if that car goes in car accident and something happens to it, and if we are good and we are alive, we will just say, okay, I'm happy that I'm alive. I will take another car, because car is not important. What is important is to come to the destination that I was desiring. So that's also the situation. If we don't identify ourselves with the body, it doesn't matter what happens to the body. We are just using this vehicle to come to a certain point, to like achieve some purpose in our life. So that's why we distance ourselves from this bodily identification. So for this, we mentioned that it's important actually to also come to some source of knowledge, that can explain us. Because if we come like that, if we don't know anything about physics, and if we come to try to understand quantum physics, which is like very sophisticated, very subtle, very complex, it would be very hard for us if we don't understand the basic laws of physics. So in order to learn about quantum physics, we would need to
learn physics first.
Learn physics, and we are not going to try to learn it on our own, because if we try to learn on our own, then we will maybe like a Newton just find out that there is a gravity, like by looking at the apples, and then we will never come to the finer and finer aspects of physics. We would need to learn from somebody who knows the physics, who just didn't invented everything on his own, but also collected the knowledge from also other scientists, or from the books that actually explain those things. And then gradually, by understanding it and by putting it in practice, by doing the experiments and by doing all of these things, then gradually we'll have realizations that these things really function. Because if you throw the apple in the air, apple will fall again down. So this is an experiment. It functions like that. So this is actually how things are working. I see Vitaly is also joining us. Welcome.
Hello. Sorry for being late.
No problem. You missed recollection from the last discussion and just the introduction in this one. So you will catch it, I think so. So yeah, so to come to that part, we need to, like understand that it's really hard to understand very complex aspects of this world and of this reality unless we approach some authorities. And I mentioned last time that I was like studying a lot of different cultures and from different backgrounds, and that Vedas, like Vedic scriptures, were like something that really intrigued me, because they have a lot of amazing like knowledge that it's actually impossible that somebody just concocted it, because scientists today prove some of those things. And actually, I wanted to share you something now when we are speaking about that. I will share you one slide. Oops. Okay, this is the slide. You can see it? So this slide actually shows us how do we perceive the reality. This is something that I wanted to show you. This is actually what is explained in Vedas, that the reality that we see in around ourselves, we are seeing it with our senses. All of us know that, with 5 of our senses: sight, smell, touch, and so these senses are limited, aren't they? So we can just perceive a small spectrum of our light. It's just a small spectrum. We can only hear just a small spectrum of frequencies. We can touch only something that is very close to us. And it's very easy to make mistakes, to come to conclusions that are mistakes, because our senses are, like limited. We can just perceive reality through them, and they are limited. When we come deeper to understand our eye, which is very complex, we can come to the conclusion that we never saw light, because our brain, who is perceiving light, just understood the light through the nerves and through this, I forgot how they are called in English, because this is like really a specific term. And we can perceive the reality around us, the sight, only one dimensions, because it just gets the RGB, and then it connects and it changes it in our head. And this is how we perceive the light, how we perceive actually the world around us. So it's very limited. It's very limited, and we are trying to understand the world through our senses. It's very limited. And that's why we make mistakes. We perceive something totally differently. And when we perceive something like that, it's not the reality itself, we come in illusion. So we become illusioned. And we then just start identifying reality for something that it's not. And what is the next thing there is that we start cheating others and start telling others that they are wrong, that our illusion is right, that they are doing things in wrong direction, that this is not proper thing. And then we start fighting between each other. And this is also like what's happening in many cases today, because mistakes we can do that when we are also counting some bills, and then we count wrong number of the bills. Illusion can also be when we go from very hot or very cold, like room outside, where it's more hot, then we will perceive that it's like too hot, because we don't have proper perception. And then the cheating comes in the point that we are trying to cheat others and prove that our way, how we perceive the world, is right. So we always need to think, and we always need to try to test our paradigms. So this is the point of the Seeking the Essence program, is to test our paradigms, to test some beliefs that we are taught from our childhood, or that we are just accepted them for the reality, that we try to test them and see actually what is there, not to be afraid of asking questions. Because one big thing today is the Darwin theory of evolution, which is basis of science today. And you now see your application? Okay. Just looking. This is one big thing that actually there is a lot of gaps how science is progressing, that they see that it could not happen like that. And how it came is because we were perceiving the reality through our senses, and we were looking the monkeys. I'm just going to put it very, very basic, like very basic, but when we are perceiving the reality, and then we see monkeys who look very similar to the humans, and then we make mistakes. Okay, the humans came through the monkeys, like they walk, or they can walk on 2 legs. They have, similar behaviors, and then we come in illusion that, yes, humans evolved from monkeys, and then we start teaching others, that this is the only truth. This is the way how humans came to the planet. And then when we see some evidence that is disproving that, then we start cheating and we start just putting that aside. There is a whole book of forbidden archaeology that is proving that, you know, like humans were existing much before Darwin, that the Darwin theory of evolution can prove that. So there is so many things that just they put out because it would totally crush the whole theory of Darwin's theory of evolution. So there is a lot of this such things, and this is why we are always having some shifts in like in, let's say for the chocolate, we were like, before when I was young, the chocolate was considered healthy. And then when I was older, then they were saying that it's very unhealthy. And then now again, they're saying that it's very healthy, that it's superfood. So there is a lot of things like that. We can see a lot of like very people who are very into something, and they're proving and like trying to prove that this is the only way. And then after some time, when they find new evidences, everything falls in the water. And this is also what happened with the quantum physics, when they were like trying to understand the physics itself. Then they went deeper and they understood the quantum physics, and this totally changed the whole situation. And then now it's so it's how things are progressing in this inductive way of understanding the reality with our limited senses. So many conclusions and so many scientific facts are changing, and this is natural. This is natural for that part. So that's why, if for some more complex aspects of our reality, it's very hard to understand them by ourselves. We need guidance. Like we need guidance for quantum physics, we need professor in the school, somebody who will help us to understand the physics gradually, and then help us to understand quantum physics, which then later on we can prove while doing the experiments and through our realizations. But just a question, if we would accept somebody to guide us, even if this, in that spiritual aspect that we mentioned before, how to choose right person? Because there is so many different opinions about that aspect, because it's very subtle and very untouchable. How to choose the right person to guide us in that aspect? This is a good question, because if we need a guide, you know, like how to choose the right guide, because, you know, like we see religions fighting between each other. We see so many different persons proving that they're right, that other is wrong. So how to choose the right person?
But first, getting to know different opinions and perspectives, and going out and seeing different things. And after that, to which one we feel more connected.
Okay, so let's say that if you are trying to learn quantum physics, so you just start going around and randomly meet people and ask them what is quantum physics about, and then you just try to collect their answers and put it together.
No.
Okay. Please don't be shy to say. I will test these things, and this is useful for whole the group. It's, you know, like I'm very much appreciating everything that you share, but I'm just trying to test and go deeper.
I think what Nicoletta says is that you try to select people. For example, you want to learn about psychology, you will try to focus on the people who might know about psychology around you. They can be professional or just interested by the topic, and you discuss with them, and they might give you some books to read, or they might teach you things as well. They might invite you to follow a psychological session with someone, I don't know. And what Nicoletta said as well is the one you have the more, you stick to his ideas. If you like his ideas and the current goes well from him to you and from you to him, then you can continue this relationship and learn more and more.
Thank you very much, Julian. You said a few very interesting points. And like you said, Nico was not wrong. I was just wanting to go deeper. And so the point was, what you mentioned is to ask people who are interested first in that part. But so many different theories can be there. But then you said that try to study the books about that topic and to find like qualified people who can speak on that topic, and then see how you connect to that person. All of this aspect, I think, just shortly I mentioned. So these are some of the good aspects that you mentioned. Would somebody other like to say something? How to difference between persons who wrote the books, because today, especially like when we see in social media or internet, you can find so many different theories, you can find so many different videos, and you can also find so many different books which are explaining for Darwin theory of evolution and totally putting it aside. How to find actually a right source of knowledge? Is it just about how we connect to that person, or is it something more? Come again to the quantum physics. What we need to do?
I think for any sort of knowledge, the best way to analyze it is to bring it to a test. Now, with some theories like the theory of evolution, it's really impossible to test, because you would need hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years just to see any say evolution or change in a species, unless it's just like something like a micro animal or something that you can maybe see some difference, but on a large scale, it's really difficult to bring it to a test. But with any big group of information, the best way is to compare the sources, and then maybe try and bring some tests and reach a conclusion. Like that's I would say that's the best way to approach.
Okay, so I heard making tests, proving it, does it work in reality, and also comparing with the other sources of knowledge. Okay, this is very valuable. Somebody would like to add something more? How is there some other way, like if somebody is teaching quantum physics, to understand, is he a valuable source of knowledge or not? Is he like good source of knowledge or not?
Also looking for reviews.
Reviews, good. Background. And for a professor, if we are approaching a professor of quantum physics, what he needs to have? Like a college that he finished, some background that he studied, some references, like also he needs to teach the quantum physics if we want to be sure that this is a proper professor, that he's teaching it from a certain body of knowledge that was already tested, discovered, and not just invented by him. I saw some professors who are teaching something totally different than it's in books or being proven. Sometimes it happens, So I think it's very important that when we see some source of knowledge, that we see the background of that source of knowledge. Like if that is a professor, which college or which background he's learned from which body of knowledge he's teaching, from which scriptures, what aspects, and then also, is he putting it in practice himself? Did he put it in practice? Does he have realizations? Is he showing it by his example? So we need to have all of these things together. Because a teacher, especially in spiritual circles, needs to have those things. We cannot accept somebody just because emotionally we just fell in love with somebody. It happens, but then there is a lot of divorces, like so many things. If we don't think about it, are we compatible with that person or not? you know, like it's what to say about the whole life that is ahead of us. We mentioned one very funny example of that very naive person just coming to the office of nuclear plant with just a trunk and just, you know, like not knowing what he's doing there, you know, like just coming there and just hitting things around. He doesn't know what he's there for. And then the manager of the nuclear plant comes and he's asking, you know, like, what are you doing? You know, like, this is very, you can harm yourself and harm others. But he doesn't know because he's just, you know, like he doesn't know what he's doing. So this is also, if we don't know what we are doing in life, we may end up in totally wrong direction. What to say if we are a spirit soul, and what to say if there is something after this life? So to understand and to accept somebody who will guide us and who can show us the way and teach us and help us to understand that, put it in practice, test it, realize that it really functions, we need to be very careful. And then we come to the point, very interesting point, that today in the world we have so many quarrels between different religions, between different spiritualities, however we may put it. So I wanted to share one more slide with you to show you something. So there is 3 types of paths actually that I put here that you can find. One of them is exclusivism. The exclusivism is the path, my way is the only right way, my way or highway. You heard about it most probably. And the exclusivists say that our way is the only way to God. There is no other way. Like when you have a football game and there is only one television program that is covering it. You cannot find it on other programs. So it's exclusive on their program. So it's interesting. And but the thing is that if God is big, then why would he be just limited to one religion? Isn't it? And then also, you know, like what happens is that people frustrated with that, you know, like everybody says my way is the only way, and then you have 3 different religions and all of them say my way is the only way. If they would be born in some other religion, they would be claiming to another religion the same thing. So people became frustrated, especially in today's society of multiculturalism, that we have. Before we had only one religion in one territory or in one, you know, like country. So it was dominantly. So all the others who were not following that religion, they were being looked at lower, or they will end up in hell or whatever, you know. So they were put in other traditions because they were propagating one religion, which should help people to become more moral, follow some cultural norms and function in a certain way. So, but then we have now so many different backgrounds of people in the towns, in the countries, in the same families. So it became unpractical. So today there is another path. We have it called pluralism. Always right. So everybody can follow their way, and it's right. This is like spirituality. Spirituality, everybody has their own way. So all the ways are guiding ourselves to the same goal. So this is this is another extreme, and it's very popular in these multicultural societies. And some people just go in the extent of saying that there is so many religions as there is human beings. So which is very inclusive and very open-minded. But sometimes we need to like be very careful that because we are so open-minded that our mind doesn't fall out. Meaning that, you know, like we need to start also thinking logically. Because if logically we see that all ways are right, then what will happen? Because then atheism is also, if it's right, it's negating all the religions. So everything else is bad. So how can those two things be right? If it's totally opposite, if it's saying something totally opposite. So it's we need to be careful that we don't go in extremes just because something was one extreme. And yeah, so exclusivism is very narrow-minded thinking, and pluralism actually is not thinking at all, like just like accepting everybody, we love everybody, we will not fight, everything is very nice, everything is very good. But just make a comparison. Let's say, let's put like spiritual aspect aside, let's take a physical aspect. If we are sick and we want to become healthy again, can we do anything what we want to become healthy again? Would anything that any path that we take to our health help us? There is, like an old saying that, like, how do you say that in English? That you take one thorn with the other. This is the English saying, yeah. We say it in Croatian, something totally different. So that you take one thorn with other. So like if you are sick from eating sweet and you have diabetes, let's continue eating sweet. We are going to take one thorn with another. We are going to counteract it. Minus with minus is plus. This is my philosophy. Let's go in that direction. So we can have so many different ideas. But there is different ways how we can become happy. There is not only one way. We can have Ayurvedic treatments, we can have allopathy, we can have homeopathy, we can have naturopathy, we can have different paths. But those paths need to bring us to a certain goal, to become healthy. And that needs to be objective. Objectively, our health can be seen that we are, that our blood, how to say, blood picture, is it proper? That our blood picture is, when we take blood out and test it, that it's good, it's becoming better, that our, body can function again, that there is different ways how we can objectively see that our health is becoming good again. So it doesn't matter which of those paths, is it Ayurveda, allopathy, homeopathy, naturopathy, or whatever, the point is that it brings us to the healthy condition. So this path, it's called inclusivism. There is only one way, not only one way, only one religion, but there is one way to the health. You can go to the unhealthy condition that we are not healthy, or you can go to the healthy condition. How to come there? You can take different paths, but you are either going to your health, to healthy state, or to the disease state. So in this path, this way can lead us, and all the different vehicles which we can take can lead us to different levels of that path.